away our spirit. It's not going to work. We're going to stand with the president.
Governor George Pataki, thank you so much for joining us. And later in our program, I'll be speaking with the mayor of New York City, Rudy Giuliani. But now let's go back to the diplomatic effort involving the United States to try to put together a coalition against terrorism. Earlier today, I spoke with the Secretary of State, Colin Powell. Mr. Secretary, thank you so much for joining us. Who's responsible for these attacks?
Well, the prime suspect, I think, is the al-Qaeda organization, which is essentially a holding company of terrorist organizations that have worldwide presence, and the head of the al-Qaeda organization is Osama bin Laden. Now, the evidence is still mounting, but that organization, al-Qaeda, is the prime suspect.
Do you believe that other terrorist organizations were cooperating with al-Qaeda and Osama bin Laden?
We don't have enough information yet to make that case, but we're looking at every lead we have. Right now, the prime suspect is al-Qaeda, which is headed by Osama bin Laden.
Is there any evidence that any state in the region or around the world may have supported, financed, directed this operation?
We have not seen any such links yet, but you can believe we're working hard to see whether such links exist.
How do you do that? How do you find out if there are such links?
Well, as you know, the FBI and other agencies of government are hard at work. Some 4,000 FBI agents are working on this, and as they look at those 19 terrorists who killed themselves last September 11th, they will start to turn up leads, and they'll follow those leads and follow them wherever it takes them. One, to make sure there are no other terrorists loose in the country, and if there are, let's get after them and get on them and roll it up. And also to find out the origins of this group and to go after those origins and pull up the sources and to find those who gave them haven, those who gave them support, those who gave them financial support, and start ripping up this entire network. That's why we keep saying it's going to be a long-term campaign against this enemy, whether it is al-Qaeda or any other terrorist organization that comes after us, our interest, or frankly goes after the civilized world.
When you say long-term, how long?
We're probably going to be in the counterterrorism business at a very high level of intensity for as long as anyone can imagine, as long as there are people out there who are willing to do the kinds of things those terrorists did this week. Then we're going to have to be on guard and constantly looking for them, trying to penetrate them and trying to stop them, and not just respond to them, but to stop them, get ahead of them, get inside their decision cycle.
This is not weeks or months, but this is years.
No, in the near term, we will go after the specific organization responsible for what happened at the World Trade Center at the Pentagon. And we'll get the evidence, and we'll get the goods on them, and we'll go after them. And we've already started that. You've seen the diplomatic effort that we've made over the last 4 or 5 days, which has produced results already. And then we will do whatever is necessary to take care of this organization and make sure they are not able to commit this kind of offense against us again and against the civilized world. It's important to remember that it's not just U.S. citizens that were lost here. Some 40 countries lost people in the World Trade Center, and they're all outraged. The whole world is outraged over this kind of terrorist incident, and it has to be a worldwide response, a worldwide campaign using all the tools that are available to the United States and available to like-minded nations around the world who see this as a scourge on the face of the earth to do something about it.
As you know, Osama bin Laden and al-Qaeda, his organization, have operated within Afghanistan, supported, if you will, by the Taliban regime over there. The United States occasionally talks to the Taliban leadership. What are you saying to them right now?
Well, we're not talking to them right now, but I expect we will be in the days ahead. And we're going to make it clear to them that they must comply with previous directions they have received from the United Nations and other organizations to stop this, to expel this organization, to destroy this organization, or to help us to destroy this organization. And they will be held accountable for the support they have given to this organization if that's who we finally determined is responsible and we're going after them. They will have to make their choice, whether they want to be in the receiving end of the full wrath of the United States and others, or whether they want to get rid of this curse that they have within their country.
Do you have any expectation that they will change their policy and cooperate now with the U.S. and the West and arrest, if you will, Osama bin Laden?
I'm not carrying expectation. The only thing I'm looking for is results. They either do or they don't. It's binary, yes or no. You either respond to this crisis, this tragedy, this horrible thing that was perpetrated by perhaps al-Qaeda and Osama bin Laden, and all the indications point in that direction. You either respond and rip them up, help us rip them up, get rid of them, or you will suffer consequences.
Oh, now, specifically, what does that mean to the Taliban who may be watching right now? What kind of consequences will they suffer?
They will suffer consequences. We have a variety of means at our disposal, which are political, diplomatic, international, military, intelligence, lots of things that are available to us. All the elements of national power will be brought to bear on this problem. And the Taliban have a problem right now in hosting this kind of regime in the form of the al-Qaeda regime, the al-Qaeda network, and those who support the al-Qaeda network. And they will have to make a choice as to whether or not they're willing to pay the price that they may have to pay to continue to support this kind of activity.
As you well know, there have been reports over the years that this organization, al-Qaeda, Osama bin Laden's troops and forces, have also operated in Yemen, in Sudan, and other countries. Are you giving them the same warning?
Yes, we are talking to all of our friends and partners in this coalition. And what we're saying to them, not necessarily a warning, but saying to them, look, this is the time to end this. Whatever host support you have been providing to this network, stop it. There are UN resolutions and there are other directions from international communities that these things should be ejected from your country, these kinds of cells, this kind of activity. And we're just going to remind them of their responsibilities and let them know it'll be a means by which we measure our relationship with them in the future. Not necessarily a warning, it's just a clear statement of fact and principle that we're going after them, and you can either help us go after them, and if you choose not to help us go after them, this will have an effect on the relationship that we have with you.
There are reports this morning that the government of Pakistan is now about to send a delegation into Afghanistan and demand the arrest of Osama bin Laden. Did you ask Pakistan to do that?
We've asked Pakistan for a number of things. I have seen that report, and our ambassador in Islamabad is in touch with Pakistani authorities, and I know the Pakistani ambassador will be on your show a little later this morning, but I cannot confirm yet exactly what the Pakistanis might be doing tomorrow. I know that there is movement in such a direction, and I know that the Pakistanis have made some contacts in the UN on such a move, but we will wait to see. But I am not in a position right now to confirm it.
Have you been in direct touch? I know the President has spoken to President Musharraf, Pervez Musharraf, the leader of Pakistan. What specifically has the United States asked Pakistan to do?
Well, as you know, the President did speak to him yesterday. I spoke to President Musharraf several days earlier, and Deputy Secretary Armitage spoke to some associates of the President who were in town, and we gave them a list of things that we thought they should be responsive to, and we would be giving them greater specificity with respect to what we wanted off that list in due course. But since that is a matter of, as you can imagine, sensitive diplomatic discussions between the two sides, I think it's best that we follow up on that list. They have come forward with a very supportive statement. They have said yes. And President Musharraf said that to President Bush again last night. And so what we now have to do is send a team to Islamabad as soon as we have a better idea of what we will need and what kind of support might be required, and talk directly to our Pakistani friends.
When will that team leave, and who will head the delegation?
Not yet been decided, but I'm sure it'll not be in the distant future. I would expect in the very near future, next several days. And we'll put the team together and determine who the head will be. And when they go over, they will be also working with our ambassador, Ambassador Wendy Chamberlain, who's been doing such a great job over the last 4 days.
Is one of the statements issued by the government of Pakistan is that they will cooperate as long as you don't get the Israelis and the Indians, the government of Israel, the government of India, involved in this, because presumably they would be embarrassed. What is your reaction to that?
Well, we'll see what their position is. We'll talk to them. And right now, you know, we're not planning we do not have a multinational force going anywhere yet. And so we understand the sensitivities that would be involved in anything that might involve India or Israel, and we'll take those sensitivities into account. But at the end of the day, we'll do what we think is appropriate and necessary.
Have the Pakistanis agreed to allow the U.S. to go over their airspace with missiles or with planes if, in fact, there is going to be a military operation aimed at Afghanistan?
What we're going to do is sit down with the Pakistanis and discuss with them what we might need. I don't want to give any indication or hints as to what might or may not be planned as a military operation or a diplomatic operation or any kind of international initiative at this time.
What about their ground positions as staging points or their ports for U.S. naval vessels?
We have not approached them yet on any specific requirements, and when we do, it'll be in a confidential channel, so we are not giving any indication of what we might or might not be doing militarily.
If you look at the map of Afghanistan, it's landlocked. To the north is Uzbekistan, one of the republics of the former Soviet Union. Is there any need for cooperation, for example, from Uzbekistan?
We will be talking to the Uzbek authorities. There may be something they can assist us with, but we'll explore that with them.
And as you know,
They have been forthcoming.
to the west is Iran. Any prospect at all of seeking or receiving cooperation from Iran?
Iran has always had difficulty with the Taliban regime and recognized the nature of that regime. And they gave a rather forthcoming statement of condolence and how there might be ways of cooperating with us in the response to what happened. But at the same time, we have always seen Iran as a state that sponsors terrorism. So we will explore what they have said to us without making any commitments, of course. And if they are interested in fighting terrorism, it has to be terrorism not just related to this incident, but terrorism of the kind that they have sponsored in the past. So if this represents a new page in Iranian thinking, then let's see what's written on that new page. But we're prepared to explore, but we have no illusions about the nature of the Iranian regime.
So you'd want them specifically, for example, to back off in their support of Hezbollah?
Yeah, they can't say we will help you fighting terrorism here, but we will not help you fighting terrorism elsewhere. Terrorism is terrorism, and Hezbollah is a threat to the region, just as Al-Qaeda is a threat to the world. And I think we have to see this not only as a struggle against what happened the other day and a struggle against Al-Qaeda, if that's who we ultimately determined we should go against, but there are other acts of terrorism that take place perpetrated by other terrorist organizations. And so it is a scourge, as I said before, against civilization, and we have to go against this scourge in the most comprehensive way possible.
Are Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and other states in the Gulf, in the Persian Gulf region, with whom the United States has close relations, are they ready to cooperate militarily with the United States in this new war?
They are ready to cooperate. They have all been supportive. Now, we have not asked them for any particular military component to that cooperation yet, but I have been very impressed by the speed with which our moderate Arab friends in the region have come forward to express condolence and also show support. Saudi Arabia particularly reminded everybody that they stripped Osama bin Laden of his citizenship years ago and consider him a disgrace to his Saudi heritage. Senior Saudi clerics have spoken out strongly against this kind of activity in the last several days. I'm pleased with that. We've also heard from Israel and so many other friends. So lots of people are coming forward, but we haven't placed any specific military requirements or demands or requests on any of them yet.
Where does the Iraqi President Saddam Hussein fit into this entire scenario for war?
Well, he is one of the more despicable persons on the face of the earth, and we have not heard, of course, and wouldn't expect to hear from the Iraqis any sense of understanding of this loss of life that affected not just the United States, but 40 other nations, to include Arab nations who lost lives in the World Trade Center. So far, we have not discerned any link between the Iraqi government and what happened the other day, but we're certainly examining links that might exist between what happened the other day and any country and any terrorist organization in the world. We're determined to run this to ground, get them out of their holes, pull it all out, see what's there, and then deal with it.
Over the years, since your experience as a young officer in Vietnam and during the course of your more subsequent experience, you've come up with what's called the Powell Doctrine, a defined mission, overwhelming force, exit strategy. Let's go through that right now. What is the defined mission?
To make sure that nothing like this happens again, and to make sure nothing like this happens again by going after the sources, the terrorist sources and those who harbor terrorist activities and terrorist groups, and destroying those networks, those groups, and making sure it is no longer in anyone's interest to harbor or provide haven for such groups.
Sounds like a very broadly defined mission.
No, I think it's pretty specific.